Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. We are coming off a red-hot Thursday. Looking at the recap screen here, a lot of Jets money, a lot of Joe Mixon money, a lot of green check marks. By my count, this is 13-4. Absolutely love to see it. A couple of winning days in a row, but 13-4 is truly awesome. We're going to try to do it again today, folks. I see everybody in the chat. Hit the like button if you could. We've got a great Friday show for you. Of course, we bring in all of the big guns for Big Pick Energy Friday. Here.
Woo! Yeah, let's go!
Buckets looking chilly. Mike looking like he always does, learning. But it's Stefano that I'm worried about. Specifically, what is it? Stefano21 in the chat. He said, I have been waiting all morning.
Me too.
For my Chip Me Up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Snake. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Flip that calendar, baby, because November's when it happens. This is when we're going to decide the college football season. This is when hopes and dreams are made and broken. Fired up to get it started with you. Week 10. I can't believe it, Sia. It's week 10.
I can't believe it's week 10 either. Week 10 in college football, week 9 in the NFL. Buckets, you were doing this like shiver thing, and which is kind of like ironic, right? Because you lost the showdown to me, and that means even though I didn't reply to your tweet, you have to do the hot chip challenge, right?
Did we agree on that? I thought it was a pretty mutual understanding that it was kind of fun banter. We didn't really care who won the showdown. It was all in good faith, right, guys? Just good fun.
Well, in your defense, I didn't actually respond to your hot chip challenge in time. Not that I wanted to do it anyway, but it was the Jets. I did, in fact, win the showdown. Mike, you were on the Jets as well. Your response, listen, we have been Jets backers a little bit here and there. It burned us a couple of times. We, and by we, I mean Garrett Wilson, helped us come through yesterday.
Yeah, just an absolute comedy of errors for the Jets, whether it's dropping the fumble into the end zone, roughing the punter in just an obvious situation where you're thankful to just get the football back, roughing the long snapper on a field goal attempt, just all sorts of absolutely insane things that literally only the New York Jets could pull off. But I am happy that they got the win. They were clearly the better team in that spot. It was just such a bad spot for that Houston team. So yeah, glad that the Jets won. And, now we get to potentially do it all again over the next few weeks.
What's funny about the Jets look like the most poorly coached team in the NFL. I'm including Carolina in that. But when I knew, Mike, we won the bet was when the penalty, because they knocked down the center on that field goal. They make the field goal. You take the points off the board. It looks like they're going to get a touchdown. And then Fairbairn, a good field goal kicker, lines up for an even easier field goal on 4th down and misses it. That's when I knew we had a little bit of luck on our side, perhaps. Chip, did you watch that game? Your reaction to just the Jets debacle, but yet winning?
I just saw the world lining up on the Houston Texans side, and I saw Mike McClure. I saw everyone else being like, y'all know that Houston doesn't have anyone, right? like that everyone is in the infirmary right now. And so I joined y'all. I held my nose. I took the Jets and came through for me. Now, I was not watching. I was travailing the neighborhood with Spider-Man and Superman, just saving the day. But it's exactly what I would have expected. Thursday night football is back. We've talked about that. Good games on Thursday nights are in the past. We're in the raw Thursday night stink now, that part of the season.
All right, well, how about we get to some Friday night games? Let's get to some official picks. You know how we like to do it on a Friday. Chip's going to give out our Friday Night Lights pick, and we're going to get to Bucket's pick, my pick, Mike McClure's pick, and then Chip is going to give out 2 Saturday college football plays. Again, I always like to promote the Cover 3 podcast. You can find way more college football there, and of course, the Early Edge SportsLine, because you all do that college football show earlier in the week there as well. But let's start with Friday night, Chip. What's the play tonight?
All right, we're going to go to that Boise State, San Diego State game where at the beginning of the season, Ashton Genty is running wild. Boise State's putting up a whole bunch of points. Every single non-conference game went over. But what have we seen recently now that we're into conference play? Way under against Hawaii and then under again last week, even against UNLV. Two reasons why. Number one, we see teams just stacking the box against Ashton Genty. You will not beat us, is what they're saying. Boise State's defensive line is also starting to get after it. Been very impressed with the way they've improved throughout the season. And now the San Diego State side of this. San Diego State ranks number 114 of 134 FBS teams in the points that are scored in their games. They are not as dynamic as you might think, given their head coach, Sean Lewis, and his background. They are playing games in the 20s. They're playing games in the low 30s. They are out there going hard, trying to keep this game as close as possible. So with the way that Boise State has been slowed a little bit, and with the way that San Diego State games have gone this year, I think we've got a good amount of value here on the under 57.5.
All right, we're going to be on the under 57.5 in Boise State, San Diego State. That game again is tonight. Buckets, you've got a couple of plays in soccer. Let us know, are these both today, tonight as well? And what are the plays?
Both are today, Sia, but I do want to address some of the comments I saw that basically said I'm too confident when I give my picks, and that can be misleading, which is a very interesting thing to read. But I will go ahead and drop the confidence down while I give these two out so I don't scare anyone with these plays. So, guys, we've got Leverkusen and Stuttgart playing this afternoon in Germany. I think it should be a pretty fun game, and there's a guy named Florian Wirtz who I guess he's okay. Definitely not one of the best players in the world, and his to score or assist line being minus 125 is definitely not a little problematic for how good he's been. Gosh, I really think this play is going to hit, but be careful because it might not hit, I guess. But I mean, he's got the second most goals on the team. He's one of their best assist players. They have a great, just Florian Wirtz seems good enough. So I would definitely take him to score or assist him. Shut up, everyone, at minus 125. Of course, I'm confident in my play. It is my job to be confident and to find plays I like. I cannot control if Fiorentina decides they want to play hopscotch for 70 minutes, Chip. But what I can do is give out my favorite plays. Florian Wirtz to score or assist at minus 125. I don't care if Stuttgart is good defensively. If you see Florian Wirtz to score or assist better than minus 200, I'm taking it every single time. You know what else I'm taking every single time? Westerlo versus Dender. Both teams to score at minus 120, both teams to score and over 2.5 goals at minus 115. And if you're thinking buckets, why are we taking that in the Belgium league? I don't know. Maybe because it's hit in 5 of the last 6 games for Westerlo this season. Maybe the same bet has hit in every single home fixture for Westerlo this season. Maybe this bet has hit every time these two teams have played each other ever at minus 115. It could miss because this is how betting goes, but I'm taking that line every single team, Sia, for 2 teams that just refuse to play any defense in Belgium.
Buckets, I got to tell you, on that second take, I'm not sure I appreciate the confidence. I don't like it one bit. So maybe we could just dial that back a little bit. I'd really appreciate
as long as your response, if this bet does miss, Sia, as long as your response is to threaten me, I think that's the right way to handle in this situation. So
the thing I love about the idea of confidence in a setting like this is like when they put me on CBS Sports HQ after a game and they say, Chip, your reaction. I'd be like, that was awesome. Oh man, wasn't that cool? I'm so glad I watched that.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, fair enough. If you do want to take Bucket's bet, whether they're lacking confidence or not, and they never are because his analysis is always on point, you can make those bets at BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500. Again, I'll say that again, $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10 and you will receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. All right, we got to get to a lot more college football. We got to get to an NFL prop. I'm going for 11 in a row, folks, on SportsLine. We're going to do it all right after this message from our partners.
Sunday, red hot QBs take center stage. A showdown in the dog pound. And the stars are set to light up the late afternoon. Now that's a CBS Sports Sunday.
We're back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sportsbook born in Vegas. A lot going on in the chat. I see Danny Brasco is in the chat. Ask him anything you want. Gipper's Picks is in there. I'm sure those two are going back and forth on UFC. Brad Betts in the chat, I'm sure, talking soccer. A lot of you really talented cappers in the chat. Really appreciate you being here. Another talented capper. His name's Mike McClure. He's got a pick in a marquee game Saturday. Mike, it's Ohio State. It's Penn State. It's a big game. Where are we headed?
It is a huge game in college football, definitely the biggest of the week, and one that I think a lot of college football fans look forward to every year. I'm going to be on Ohio State here, though. -3, -115, or -3.5, -105. Love both price points. I'm just going to take my shot on Ohio State because I think Penn State has an issue at the quarterback position. Drew Aller, someone that is obviously a good quarterback and has a ton of experience in this offense, but I do believe he is limited. And this is not the matchup to be limited in, but I ultimately think he gives it a go. And that could be the problem if they have to change again in the middle of the game, because the style of play between the two quarterbacks drastically different. When I look at Ohio State, though, this team is just absolutely battle tested. When you look at that road trip they took to Oregon, they lost a very tight game there, but they got a lot of great experience. And this Ohio State team is awesome defensively. And that's what I think the difference is going to be here. I think that they're going to be strong enough offensive or defensively that it's going to make life difficult for Penn State. And if Penn State falls into a trailing game script at all, where they're not ahead in this game, and they have a limited quarterback and potentially have to go to the more mobile running quarterback, just doesn't scream recipe for success here. When I look at Ohio State, yes, they've got some issues on the offensive line. There is no doubt about it. I do think that they can scheme around it, though. When you've got the two running backs that are legit NFL running backs on this roster, we know how good the receiving core is. But for me, it's also going to be quarterback Will Howard. This, to me, projects as a game where he uses his legs a lot more. We should see more design runs. He's certainly not the focal point, despite obviously being the quarterback with the ball in his hands. He's not going to be the focal point on a lot of these plays, and he is sneaky good with the legs, got the big body. I think he's going to be able to extend drives, pick up the key first down, and ultimately Ohio State covers this game late with a late touchdown to put the game away. Penn State, to me, struggles when they're going to be in a negative game script. And this is a must-win game for Ohio State. If they do not win this game, they have a very legitimate shot of missing the college football playoff because of the way things play out. When you talk about Penn State, this game doesn't mean a whole lot to Penn State. Penn State can lose this game and win out with a very, very easy schedule and get in the college football playoff. So I know it's a home game. It's a tough environment. But I like Ohio State because I think this desperation spot is one that they're going to step up to the plate in.
All right, we're taking Ohio State -3. We got two more college picks with, two big name schools coming up in just a second from Chip Patterson. But I'm going to go to the NFL. We're going to go to the prop market like I usually do, and I'm targeting my Washington Commanders. I'm not taking the Giants +4, wherever this line ends up, 3.5, 4.5. I'm taking Malik Neighbors. Listen. Two things here. Tyrone Tracy is in the concussion protocol. I don't know that he's going to play. My thought is he's not going to play. And with all of that said, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. Even with Tyrone Tracy, I think this is a good bet. But let me give you a stat that I think is really staggering about Malik Neighbors. Over the last 5 games, that includes a game in Washington where I believe Malik Neighbors caught 10 of 17 targets for 127 yards and a touchdown. In those last 5 games, Malik Neighbors has 66 targets. He's receiving a lot of doubles. He's getting a lot of coverage. Don't get me wrong, but he's still finding a way to catch the ball, and Daniel Jones is absolutely targeting him. If you think Daniel Jones is going to get pulled, that's fine. Drew Lock comes in. He'll still target Malik Neighbors as well. Darius Slayton starting to stretch the field for guys like Wan'Dale Robinson and Malik Neighbors, but regardless of the other receivers, I'm seeing probably in a neutral negative game script, I'm seeing at least, I would say 10 to 14 targets for Malik Neighbors. All he has to do is get over 67.5 receiving yards. I honestly think this line should be like 73.5, maybe even as high as 76.5, because this Washington secondary, while playing better, is still not an elite secondary, especially when you measure up against a talent like Malik Neighbors. Give me Malik Neighbors over 67.5 receiving yards. And of course, this is also on SportsLine. Everybody, y'all need to be a member of SportsLine. Super easy. SportsLine.com/join. Type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plans. Get all our picks, all our analysis, all our simulations, all of the data, the model picks, you name it. SportsLine's got it. SportsLine.com/join. Promo code winners. All right, so that's my NFL prop. I've got another NFL pick I gave out earlier in the week that's also on SportsLine. Chip, you've got 2 more college football picks.
All right, so we are going to be looking at that really, really important game in the ACC as Clemson's back in action. They'll be hosting Louisville in Death Valley. And while Louisville and Clemson have both been very good programs for as long as Louisville has been in the ACC, Clemson has had the upper hand in this matchup. And I think they're going to have it again because not only do I think is Clemson the better team, but Louisville's kind of played some inconsistent games, very up and down over the course of like the last month or so. And they're also on their 7th game in a row without a break. That's included a stretch that has a shootout game against Miami, a hard-fought game against Notre Dame, bad performances against Virginia, bad performances against Boston College, won them both, but I'm very concerned about their ability to not run out of gas as they're playing at night in Death Valley where those Clemson fans like to roar. Then, cocktail party, rivalry game, throw the record books out, right? No, because the cocktail party, unlike a lot of rivalry games, doesn't have a situation where we get unexpected results. In fact, and remember, this is the same part of the calendar every single year. Both Georgia and Florida get an off week going into it. It's in Jacksonville. Everything is very routine and everything is very familiar. So what is routine? How about the favorite covering the spread in 7 of the last 8 meetings? How about the last 10 meetings have been decided by double digits? So what is more likely, Chip? Is it Florida winning by 10 or is it Georgia winning by 10? It's Georgia winning by 20. Dogs on top. Lay them.
Wow. Those were also confident picks. I do. Oh, Mike, go ahead.
I just had a question for Chip on Clemson Death Valley.
Yes.
How does it compare to LSU Death Valley? Are we talking the same? Which one's better in your opinion?
So LSU for
What's
the whole
real Death Valley.
Oh, yeah. LSU for the whole experience because I think it's better outside the stadium, and Baton Rouge as a college town feeds into it. Outside of like Memorial Stadium, there really ain't nothing around Clemson. You know, like you kind of have to drive from about 30, 45 minutes out just to get in there. Tailgating scene is pretty good, but again, not like the food you get at LSU. But in the stadium at night can get equally as loud. I was there for Deshaun against Lamar Jackson, another Clemson-Louisville battle. And that game was, I don't know if you go like wiki that game in 2016, it was bonkers in there. So it can get a little different. The volume can challenge it. Whole experience does not.
I am extremely jealous of the places Chip has been that I have not. Buckets, let me ask you from a soccer standpoint, was there anything in the chat, picks-wise, question-wise, that you needed to address?
Yes, somebody was asking about Sporting taking on Estrela this afternoon in Portugal. I don't know if you remember this celebration, Sia.
Yes.
There's a guy named Victor Gyökeres there. Was probably the best player, definitely in Portugal, but one of the best in Europe. They're asking about his anytime goal score. Fine. It's minus 400 on MGM, so that's up to you whether you want to stomach that or not. I would say normally sprinkle first goal scorer, but even that is only plus 130. So I would just stay off of that game. Maybe bet Sporting goals in the first half, but no player props there.
Okay, speaking of player props, Brian Thompson, Rick Funcannon, and many others dropping some NBA props in the chat. So take a look at those. I know Chris Kish is in here dropping F1. I already mentioned Brasco and Gipper's picks. So many of you also dropping some knowledge, some picks for us to absorb. Mike, anything in the chat you needed to address?
Nope. I was just potentially typing in the chat. We're listening to the reading the comments on LSU Clemson. I'm considering popping over to the Clemson game tomorrow night just because it's a night game. So we'll see. Thinking about it.
Would recommend.
It's actually not far from Nashville. It's a 5-hour drive, but it's a really quick flight from Nashville to Atlanta. Little quick drive in. Yeah, it's doable for sure.
All right. Jeff Sternberg says Brown money line plus 135. Do you mean the Browns? I'm not sure.
No. Somebody had asked about Brown Penn Ivy League action, and like Ivy League race is getting really interesting. As always, I would send you to Emory Hunt. I'm not going to. Yeah, I am not going to say that I have any expertise that Emory Hunt cannot provide on the FCS. So go check out the Czar of the Playbook or Football Game Plan Czar of the Playbook, Emory Hunt.
That's a really good call out. You all should be following Emory Hunt as well. Obviously, he's on the College Football Show with Mike and Chip, but you can find him all over CBS Sports and SportsLine. He is extremely talented, great guy as well. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. I'm on a Sunday prop. Malik Neighbors over 67.5 receiving yards at minus 115. Buckets, Florian Wirtz, TSOA, minus 125. Westerlo, Dender, both teams to score, and over 2.5 at minus 115. 115. Mike McClure, Ohio State -3, -115. And Boise State, San Diego State, under 57.5 tonight from Chip Patterson. Clemson -14.5 on Saturday. And Clemson -10.5 and Georgia -14.5. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those are our picks on a Friday. We are coming off a great day, great couple days, actually. Hopefully we can continue the ride on this Friday, but either way, ladies and gentlemen, have fun with this betting thing. Stay positive throughout your day. Say hello, goodbye, make eye contact with people, and let's have a great Friday and a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday morning, but again, let's have a great weekend. Thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for hitting the like button. Thanks for participating in the chat. On behalf of Mike McClure, Chip Patterson, Buckets, Shake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s, I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.